New video from the border of an unaccompanied toddler found with a note. What she told the DPS officer who took this video.
Take a look at these temperatures. We're starting to see 30s and 40s across North Texas. What will it be like for us tonight?
A KXAN investigation about cars crashing into emergency rooms is sparking a security review, this time of federal buildings. A look at the potential change.
First tonight, a large group of young undocumented migrants found along the Texas border in Maverick County, including a 2-year-old girl. In this video taken from the Texas Department of Public Safety, you hear a DPS officer ask the young girl where she was going. She says she's arrived by herself and that her parents are in the U.S. DPS says the toddler came from El Salvador and had a piece of paper with a phone number and a name on it. She was one of 60 unaccompanied migrant children ranging from the ages of 2 to 17 years old. The minors are part of a larger group of more than 200 migrants who officials encountered again yesterday over in Maverick County. And tomorrow, top Texas and federal leaders will spend some time along the border. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Daniel Marin.
And I'm Jennifer Sanders. It'll be the first time the incoming U.S. border czar visits the area since being tabbed by President-elect Donald Trump. KXAN's Will Dupree reports.
Tuesday, Governor Greg Abbott, DPS Director Steve McCraw, and others will show incoming U.S. border czar Tom Homan the efforts Texas has been making on the border. Homan has been tasked with carrying out mass deportation operations. He led the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Trump's first administration and spoke with News Nation earlier this month about why he's so passionate about this type of work.
I love the men and women of the Border Patrol. They put their lives on the line every day. Same with ICE. This can be fixed, and we need to fix it because it's going to save American lives. It's going to save alien lives. It just makes sense. There's no downside in a secure border.
Tuesday's visit will start in Eagle Pass at a Texas military base that opened there back in May along the banks of the Rio Grande. More than 700 National Guard troops are stationed in that 80-acre base, but it has the capacity to house as many as 2,300. The group will serve meals to the Texas National Guard soldiers and DPS troopers who are stationed on the border over Thanksgiving. The governor and others will then head to Edinburgh, just north of McAllen, to visit with more troops. Just west of Edinburgh, Texas Land Commissioner Don Buckingham will hold a border wall construction kickoff event on Tuesday. It's at a 1,400-acre ranch in Starr County. It's the same piece of land she's offering to the upcoming Trump administration with the hopes of creating a mass deportation facility.
So we said if there's something we can do to help, we sure want to do that. We have this property. Should the federal government need it for a detention and deportation center, we're, again, happy to get into an agreement with them and be helpful any way we can.
In Austin, I'm Will Dupree.
And we have continuing in-depth coverage available anytime thanks to our colleagues at Border Report. Check out the link through the KXAN.com homepage. President-elect Donald Trump revealed this evening he will impose new tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico through an executive order on the first day of his new term next year.
In a series of posts on Truth Social, Trump said he would enact tariffs on 25% of all Canadian and Mexican goods. He also revealed that he would add another 10% tariff to all Chinese goods on top of the tariffs already in place for China. Trump said the new tariffs are meant to push all three nations to take stronger efforts to bolster border security and also crack down on fentanyl exports to the U.S. He said in part on Truth Social, quote, both Mexico and Canada have the absolute right and the power to easily solve this long simmering problem.
President-elect Trump no longer faces criminal charges for allegedly trying to illegally overturn the 2020 election and the mishandling of classified documents. Special counsel Jack Smith dropped the federal charges today. The president-elect denies all wrongdoing. In today's court filing, Smith wrote that Mr. Trump's upcoming inauguration and the long-standing Justice Department policy prohibits prosecuting a sitting president. A Trump spokesperson called today's developments a major victory. Smith's filing leaves the door open to revisiting the charges in the future, but the statute of limitations is set to expire during the next Trump term.
check this out. The cold front arrived this evening, and so did the winds. We saw the flags outside of our studios in West Campus whipping around, as well as the trees swaying with the chill in the air as temperatures continue to drop across all the area. In fact, take a look where a few of the areas are at now. San Saba, 45 degrees. Lampasas at 43 degrees. Looks like they're actually the coldest on this map, with everyone else like Mason, Llano, Burnett, and Fredericksburg all within the 40s. Georgetown as well, 48 degrees at this point, with downtown Austin currently sitting at 50 degrees. A 24-hour change is pretty remarkable for many spots. Georgetown down 22 degrees from where they were at yesterday. San Saba around 25 degrees. Lampasas at around 20. Austin still sitting at about an 18-degree difference from just 24 hours ago. And a big change tomorrow from what we saw today, as we saw another red day hitting at about 84 degrees on the calendar. As you can tell, for November, we are well above average for a majority of the month, except for 2 days. And that was back on November 5th and November 20th. As we look at clouds and radar right now, clear skies, and that's the same thing you see when we look outside of our camera through our West Shore Homes camera in downtown Austin. Coming up, we're going to talk about the cold night ahead. The temperature is going up and down over the next few days, and of course, your Thanksgiving forecast.
All right, Freddie, thanks so much. A federal judge says he must still approve the sale of Alex Jones's InfoWars to the satirical publication The Onion. The sale remains in limbo following the November 13th auction. A Houston judge ordered an evidentiary hearing next month to help determine whether to approve the sale. The judge also declined to immediately rule on Jones's request for a temporary restraining order to disqualify The Onion's bid. Another bidder, First United American Companies, a limited liability company backed by Jones, had challenged the results of the auction. Proceeds generated from the sale are largely meant to help satisfy defamation verdicts awarded to several families of the victims of the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. A date for that evidentiary hearing has not yet been set.
We're in the final stretch of the trial for an Austin police officer found guilty of deadly conduct. Christopher Taylor and another officer shot and killed Maurice Da Silva in 2019 while responding to 911 calls of Da Silva walking around his downtown condo complex with a knife to his throat. KXAN's Brianna Hollis was in court today as Taylor's sentencing hearing continued.
In Texas, defendants have the right to choose whether a judge or jury determines their sentence. Taylor chose the judge, so his fate is now in Judge Dana Blasey's hands. Now, we don't know yet what exactly each punishment each side is asking for. That will come out in their arguments next week. But the range for deadly conduct is 2 to 10 years. Probation can also be possible if someone doesn't have a prior conviction. The defense called 3 witnesses Monday. First was Bruce Mills, the former interim assistant city manager over public safety. Next was Howard Williams, a criminal justice professor at Texas State, who the state had previously called as a potential expert witness when the DA's office first brought the Da Silva case to a grand jury. Last, we heard from Witch Doherty, Taylor's former landlord and now, quote, close friend. This is the first time we've heard someone speak directly on Taylor's character during this trial.
Have you been able to see Chris interacting with his family enough to form an opinion about what kind of husband and father he is?
Yes, sir.
And what's that opinion?
I'd say he's an excellent husband and an excellent father. I've seen him interact with his kids probably better so than I was at that age with my kids.
Testimony will continue Tuesday morning and then resume again the following Tuesday after Thanksgiving. From the Travis County Courthouse, Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
Our months-long investigation into vehicles crashing into hospital emergency rooms has one member of Congress pushing for increased security on a federal level.
KXAN investigator Matt Grant has more on what's being proposed and why some say it can save lives.
It's covered all along here.
As a result of Matt's important study about safety at area healthcare facilities, I contacted the General Services Administration about safety at federal facilities.
Congressman Lloyd Doggett continuing to push for a sweeping security review of federal facilities. It comes months after our investigation found more than 300 hospital crashes nationwide in the past decade, like a deadly one in Austin in February. That number grows if you look beyond medical centers. Data compiled by the nonprofit Storefront Safety Council reveals more than 30,000 vehicle crashes into any building accessible to the public in that time frame, and around 2,600 fatal incidents every year.
More people die in these storefront crashes than die in weather events in the United States every year. These things are foreseeable, that they're predictable, and they're preventable.
In June, Doggett sent this letter to the General Services Administration, or GSA, which oversees more than 8,000 federally owned and leased buildings across the country. Citing our investigation and growing security concerns, Doggett wrote, "These troubling incidents have increased calls for action to require safety bollards to prevent vehicles from crashing into buildings." The following month, Doggett, again referencing our reporting, asked for a review of federal facilities in the southwestern U.S. to determine if bollards are needed. According to federal data, the government leases or owns 1,200 buildings in our 5-state region, the most by far in Texas.
There are some leased spaces around town that I think do present those issues. I've urged the GSA, General Services Administration, to take a look at those.
We also started reviewing those sites, in recent days visiting 10 federally leased buildings in Austin. While most were designed so security barriers aren't needed, we found at least 3 without bollards or only partially protected, including buildings housing the Social Security Administration, OSHA, and the IRS. That office located inside a medical building directly across from where a drunk driver crashed into that ER in February, killing herself and seriously injuring 5. The Storefront Safety Council reviewed our photos and says this is a concern. In response to Doggett's inquiries, the GSA said it already uses more than 14,000 barriers of various types throughout the country, including around 1,000 in the Southwest. Adding bollards could be recommended at high-risk buildings, which are reassessed every 3 years. Doggett wants to see that review expedited.
I think in view of the increased number of accidents, deaths, and injuries from lack of safety bollards, that GSA needs to act now. The fact that you're involved, pointing out these challenges and suggesting what the solution could be, can save lives and make a difference to so many of our neighbors.
In a statement, the GSA says it shares Doggett's safety concerns, adding, for security reasons, GSA cannot disclose the specific details of this review process. While it's difficult to eliminate all potential risks, including those posed by vehicles, GSA-owned and leased facilities incorporate countermeasures, building design features, or other natural barriers to help mitigate these risks. This Social Security Administration office behind me is one example of a location that doesn't have bollards, but likely doesn't need them. The GSA says it continues to assess its buildings for whether bollards are needed to address evolving risks. In Austin, Matt Grant, KXAN Investigates.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. The GSA said it can't share specific details about when federal facilities are assessed, but says the security review schedule remains, quote, as strategically planned at this time.
A spokesperson thanked KXAN for our attention to employee and visitor safety. You can catch up on our complete continuing coverage right now. Just look for the Preventing Disaster button. You'll find that in the investigative section of KXAN.com.
An army of volunteers getting rest tonight before they help feed more than 10,000 people tomorrow afternoon. It's for HEB's Feast of Sharing, a community celebration for the last 35 years. So everyone is invited to the Palmer Events Center tomorrow between 4 in the afternoon through 8 in the evening. On the menu, turkey and all the sides and desserts, and there will also be live music and family-friendly activities. If you need a ride, you can check with your local HEB for the Cap Metro Day Pass. A quick reminder now, KXAN is helping raise money for the Central Texas Food Bank. For some perspective on the role that you can play, for each $1 donation, the food bank can provide 3 meals.
And if you donate before Wednesday, your donation will be triple matched. So just scan your phone's camera over that QR code right there. It's going to take you to our website with a link to donate. We do have a friendly competition between the morning and evening team as to see who can raise the most money. Between the two of us, we're trying to raise $150,000. $50. You can still donate. The food bank uses that money to distribute meals to the community and also put them into the hands of families and nonprofits.
Yes, which is so necessary during this time of year. Okay, tonight it felt like fall. Everyone was walking out of the newsroom saying, ooh, I forgot my jacket. I needed my jacket.
It was a little chilly outside after that front kind of came through, and we've started to see the temperatures continuing to drop. Take a look at where we're at now. Obviously, temperatures have been dropping, and we've seen clear skies across the area. Play this out a bit more. You're actually able to see the cloud coverage mostly out towards Dallas and heading out towards Lubbock and continuing overall. Let's take a look at current conditions right now. 43 degrees in Lampasas, 44 in San Saba, 44 in Burnett, 50 degrees at Marble Falls, 50 degrees in Austin, and Dripping Springs at about 47 degrees with Fredericksburg at around 46. So the front came through. It finally pushed all the way in, and we continue to see mostly clear skies. As we get out towards tomorrow and the following day, we will see some of the clouds building up one more time, especially as we get out towards Wednesday, as we see more moisture flowing back in, and of course our temperatures heading back up too. That's all coming in from the south. That's why we're seeing that rise in temperatures once again. Average around this time of year, 68 degrees. Unfortunately, we'll be hitting at about 85 as our high for Wednesday. Now remember, 85 on Wednesday, that's actually where our record is right now. As you look out towards Wednesday, November 27th, back on 1925, we actually hit that and marked that record. We could hit it or even break it as we get closer and closer. Then a front comes in. That's going to help drive down our temperatures once again. Look at your Thanksgiving forecast, 62 by lunchtime. By the time we get to dinner time, we're looking at about 60 degrees. Friday morning, we are dropping down into the 30s and 40s overall. So it is going to be very, very chilly that morning. We recommend that you keep your sweater handy because you're definitely going to need it. So let's go ahead and take a look at those fronts coming in. Overall, I do want to mention that as the front does start to push through on a Thursday, you're noticing a lot of rainfall getting out towards Houston and farther out towards the east. So if you're going to be within this area on Thanksgiving, you will run into some showers. Not here in Central Texas, though. That first front comes through on Thursday, driving down our temperatures for Thursday going into Friday. We start to see temperatures rise again by Saturday. And then Saturday into Sunday, we have another front that's expected to just swing right back in. That'll drive our temperatures down one more time as we get into Monday and Tuesday. By the way, this Saturday, a big game out towards Texas A&M as UT heads out that way. 6:30 is kickoff for College Station. We're looking at temperatures at around 58 degrees for the kickoff, and by the halftime, we're looking at temperatures there at about 56 degrees. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. 70 for Tuesday, 85 as we get out towards Wednesday. There comes that front. We're down to 65 on Thursday. By Friday, 62 degrees. Warming back up to 67. Here comes that next front. That'll take us back down once again. But look at those lows, 40s and 50s across the boards. You're going to need your jackets over the next few days because it's definitely going to be a bit chillier early in the morning.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Revive the rivalry with A&M to go to College Station Saturday with an opportunity to play in the SEC championship game on the line. College game day being there, definitely exciting.
Yeah, a lot more than just rivalry renewed for Texas and Texas A&M with a trip to the SEC championship game on the line against the University of Georgia. Of course, this has been such a special rivalry. Longhorns are getting used to these rivalry games again, going to Arkansas and taking care of the Razorbacks. That was their 10th consecutive true road win as they handled what was certainly a hostile environment. Granted, it was a morning kick. It will be prime time in College Station. And the Longhorns, yep, they'll have to go against all those intangibles that goes with going on the road, especially this place where they have been waiting for 13 years to try to beat the Longhorns.
We all know Kyle Field is a very loud stadium. They've got a great fan base, and we've seen teams go there and get impacted by the crowd noise. I think one of the keys to that is our poise and composure on the road. We've been fortunate with we've got a veteran group on offense, and we've been fortunate enough to go into Alabama and play a penalty-free game from a pre-snap standpoint in that environment. We're fortunate enough this year to go to the Big House at Michigan in week 2 and play a relatively clean game there.
Super fun game. so blessed that the rivalry is back. I mean, what more can you dream of than playing in games like this? And growing up a Texas fan, just being able to play in a game like this, and the first one in 13 years is so cool. But I mean, it's going to be loud, it's going to be crazy, it's going to be an awesome environment.
But I've been dreaming of playing in this game ever since I was a kid. You know, when I started playing football, you know, I was born and raised in Aggie, so I've been dreaming about playing in this game my whole life. So it's finally here, and it's such an honor to get to play in it. It's going to be the most amazing atmosphere that I've ever experienced, so I can't wait for that, and I feel bad for Texas having to play in that.
Well, there you go, getting some sympathy from the Aggies. All right, what about Quinn Ewers? Injured that ankle against Kentucky, said it tightened up on him. No injury report because the Longhorns practiced after Coach Sark's news conference. So Wednesday is the first SEC availability report heading into the game. And then there's Jaden Blue. He's been stung by the fumble bug. A couple against Mississippi State, lost a fumble against Kentucky. When you fumble as a running back, what do? Well, you carry a football around, and yes, you do, even to press conferences and availability. So Jaden Blue cradling that football. Don't forget Texas Game Day on Saturday. That's at 5:30 over on KBVO, the official pregame show for Texas Longhorn football. Will get you ready for the Longhorns and the Aggies. How about some NBA tonight? Fourth game for the Mavs without Luka. No problem in Atlanta because Kyrie was doing his thing. Little step back three right there, giving the Mavs the lead over Atlanta. And then, well, Irving, you give him a little space and a screen, and he's got 32. And then you get tight on him, and he can distribute. So Kyrie with the pocket pass to Maxi Kleber. Mavs get the win. They've won 5 out of 6. They're 3-1 without Luka Doncic. Don't forget, go to KXAN.com for a lot more on this Texas A&M game coming up on Saturday.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight on KXAN News. Our next newscast, KXAN News Today, starts at 4:30 a.m. And you can stay connected anytime at KXAN.com. Have a great night.